Welcome to Hip Hop in Review. I'm Sean Nixon. In the documentary Hip Hop Beyond Beats and Rhymes, filmmaker Byron Hurt takes a critical look at hip hop. What we hope to do here is offer some feedback on the show and take a closer look at how mainstream hip hop got to where it is today, and discuss what we need to understand about the images and messages in hip hop music. Our guest tonight, Courtney Morris, is a researcher who studies the impact of hip hop on black women. Mahdi Muhammad is author of It's Time, The Race is Over to Open a Black Man's Eyes, and director of the Relationship Fitness Center. And D Solo is host and executive producer of the hip-hop show Street Flavor. Welcome to the show, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, the first question I would like to ask you all, and I'll start with you, Courtney, is what did you think of the film?
I thought the film was excellent. I actually saw it in Austin in January. There was an early screening of the film there, and the place was completely packed out. There were a lot of young people there, a lot of local hip-hop artists who were there, scholars from the University of Texas came out. And I think Byron Hurt did a really critical job of thinking about the way that gender and sexism intersect in hip-hop culture and thinking critically about how we can counteract these kind of dominant images about what it means to be a black man and what hip-hop could mean for us as a community. So I thought he did an excellent job.
Mahdi, let me ask you, what did you think about the film?
I thought the film was excellent, and I think it's far too long we waited for someone to bring out this topic and bring it out of the closet. Because when we talk about homophobia and misogyny, and this the idea of how we abuse ourselves and how we abuse our bodies and how we abuse women, I think it's important that we bring this to the table and discuss it in an open and frank way.
D, what are your thoughts?
I enjoyed it from a couple of angles. As a producer, I mean, the brother was nice with it. You know, he from the graphics, man, to the topics, to how he approached what he was doing. I mean, he touched some sensitive points of views when it comes to hip hop. And I mean, it was time. I mean, a couple of the questions he asked, a couple of things that went on throughout the film had never been asked. I'd never heard it before. Wow. And it as a programmer, like I said, and as a hip hop, a person that really loves hip hop, I enjoyed it, man. I mean, it opened up a lot of eyes, you know.
Mahdi, I'm going to go to you with this question. Let's talk about this issue of hyper-masculinity.
Okay.
Where does it come from, and do you feel as though it comes from a sense of insecurity on the part of men?
Well, there's no doubt about it. It does come from a sense of insecurity, and it also comes from a sense of lack of awareness of your own self and of what I would consider the feminine side of man. And most of us have not really gotten in touch with that feminine side and learned to appreciate and love it. So what happens is, you know, even the homophobia part comes out where, you know, anything that reminds us of the feminine side within ourselves, we protect ourselves against it. Oftentimes we wear that mask, you know, that looking tough all the time. Because I know I walked around for a long time looking tough and mean, but I was actually afraid of the world. I really was afraid, you know, on the inside, but nobody could see that. And I was afraid because there's a lot about myself I hadn't gotten in touch with. And the major part of myself was that feminine side, that side where I could show my emotions. I didn't have no problem with crying. I'm the type of man, I go to movies and I see a movie that it touches me, I cry in the movie. But that was at some point in my life I had stopped doing that because I learned through the messages in our society that I was going to grow up to be a punk if I demonstrated those type of feelings. So it took me a while to come back and begin to express that.
So how do you then get men on a day-to-day basis? Because you work with a lot of different men in the hip-hop culture. So how do you get a chance to then challenge these men to really reflect on themselves and to become real men?
Well, what I always do, I always use myself as an example. I think it's so important that you keep it real, that you connect to real experiences so brothers can be able to see that you've experienced something similar that they have. And what I do is I share with them the journey that I've been on in terms of my discovery of myself, all of myself, and making a commitment to not leave any part of myself behind, and the strength that comes with it. Because, see, for most men, the softness is seen as a weakness. You know, showing those emotions are seen as being weak. So what I do is I try to shift the idea, the mentality, the definition of softness, and get them to see the strength of it. Because there are so many kingdoms. I mean, think about all the kingdoms in the world, right, that have been taken down by beauty.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? Without any gunfire, without a shot being, even one shot being made from beauty has been able to take down many kingdoms. And there's a strength of beauty that we have not been taught to see. And I try to get them to see that part of it, you know?
Dude, what do you think about what Mahdi said?
Like I said, man, I mean, you know, you have to know yourself.
Yeah.
You really have to know yourself. I looked at the film, and I mean, I'm pretty in touch with my feelings and who I am.
Okay.
I was raised by women. My mother, me, my mother, and my sister. You know, we stood through everything that we had to stand through. So I'm a lot like. I will cry at drop of a dime at a movie, you know, and you know, me and my wife would be sitting like, you know, she crying, I'm crying, but you know, it was cool for me. But at the same time, and I can understand where the director was coming from. You know, you find yourself like you walk into a club, you know, or something. And I really don't like clubs. I did clubs for so long when I was in radio, but when you walk into those clubs, man, you can't walk in like, you know, you know, something might go, you know, wrong throughout the night. So, you know, you have to, so from both points of view, I can understand it. I understand me and how I am, but in the same, you know, point of view, if I walk into a club or, you know, you kind of reform to where you are almost like, you know, and hip-hop's like that. You can't, you know, he asked the question to one of the guys, do you think it would ever be a gay rapper that would make it in hip-hop?
Right.
And I looked at my sister, me and my sister was watching it together, which is a writer, and I said, I don't know. He would have to be one hell of a lyricist.
Yeah.
And he would have to have, you know, just skin as steel.
Right.
You know, almost kind of like Jackie Robinson or, you know, breaking the color barrier when it came to baseball. You know, to be the first to do that is going to be, I'd love to see it. I would love to see it.
You would like to see it?
I would love to see it.
Why?
Because, I mean, you know, because I don't, what a person does in their private time has nothing to do with me. I accept that person for their art. It's a lot of rappers that I interview. Personally, I may not like that rapper, but I accept him for his art. You know, I live in Houston where a lot of the rappers are really exploding right now. And so we've had personal relationships, a lot of us. Some of them may not like me, I may not like them, but we respect each other as far as you, D Solo, from your point of view. And, you know, my man, I respect you for your grind and, you know, what you've contributed to hip-hop. Because at the end of the day, like the film is about, you know, from the start, he says, I want to make it clear, I love hip-hop. I love hip-hop. And that's what it is about me. I just want to work with the best, you know. I don't care about what you do in your private time, you know.
Okay. Be sure to check out the other segments of Hip Hop in Review and join the discussion at HoustonPBS.org/hiphop.